I want to thank everyone who's here today. It looks like we have almost 200 people and people are still filtering in. The program today is Continuing Textile Traditions Ukraine. And as you all know, this is a fundraiser program for relief efforts for Ukraine. And I'm extremely excited to announce I looked at where we're at with donations so far earlier today before the program, and we are at over $9,000 in donations that we've raised. So I just want to start by extending a huge thank you to all of you for your contributions you made to this program and for this effort. So I'm going to just briefly screen share the WARP website. And I just want to share, for those of you who are new to Weave a Real Piece, this is our website where you can learn more about the organization. And as Judy said, we are an international networking organization. And if you visit our website, weavearealpiece.org, you'll see events here at the very top. And you can see all of our upcoming programs, and as well as below that, previous events, where early next week we will have the recording from this program shared so that you can watch it again or share it with anyone you think may enjoy to watch it. And you can also see all of our previous programs there. And then I wanted to share that here on the homepage, we have a couple of really wonderful opportunities that are open at the moment. And one of those is our COVID relief grants, which are grants of $500 to $1,000 for textile artisans experiencing hardship as a result of COVID-19. And textile artisans from any country are welcome to apply. So you can visit our website and apply for a grant here. And just below that, we have our scholarship program. We have applications currently open for that. And you can click here to learn about the scholarship program and also apply for that. And lastly, our annual meeting will be online this year. It's virtual, and we hope to meet in person again in 2023. But registration opens for our annual meeting tomorrow, and all are welcome to attend, and it's also free. So if you're interested in spending a weekend with WARP and attending more of our programs, you can visit our website and learn more. So thank you all. Thank you again to everyone for being here. It is my great pleasure to introduce Helena Shepko, who has been the sort of mover and shaker behind this program. She brought all of the weavers together and helped us with all of the organizing and facilitating. And so I'm going to introduce Helena, and then she will introduce the weavers who will be speaking. So without further ado, weaver and teacher Helena Shepko was born in the Ukrainian part of the East Village in downtown New York City, surrounded by the culture of her heritage, into a family of musical artists. Helena teaches weaving classes, runs therapeutic weaving a life circles, and has an herbal healing practice in New Paltz, New York. In recent months, Helena has worked diligently to organize relief efforts and raise awareness for Ukraine. We are deeply grateful to Helena for organizing this panel discussion as a fundraiser for relief in Ukraine. So Helena, thank you so much, and I'll turn it over to you for introductions.
Thank you, Kelsey, very much, and all at Weave a Real Piece for organizing today's event. Thank you also for your generous donations. Russia started its invasion in the East in 2014. It's been many years, and now it invaded the whole country on February 24th, and is busy decimating cities and continuing its mass genocide of Ukrainian people and desire to wipe Ukraine off the map. Ukraine for Putin doesn't exist as a country. Folk artists and art in Ukraine are a big part of identity and are in danger now. And these weavers that we have today are like torchbearers. So an underlining thread of this program today for me is the passing on of traditions from generation to generation. And you will often hear the weavers also talking about kraika, and every single one of us that's part of our woven fabric. That is something that we know how to do, that's very essential in Ukrainian costume. And kraika is also a symbol of protection. It is worn around the waist. It's a belt, a woven belt worn around the waist. And it was traditionally worn from birth to death. And it would have symbols on it and for protecting from evil forces. Herbs would be tucked into it as well. And so this is one form of protection. You will hear it from almost each speaker. You will see that is, so I'm just familiarizing you with Ukrainian vocabulary. And the first weaver that we're going to see today is Yaroslava Tkachuk. I knew of her work when I heard of her exhibit in New York City at the Ukrainian Institute. That was in March, and it was prolonged till April, the end of April. We had a group of weavers go there from New York Weaving Guild and New York City. And then we had a Zoom talk with Yaroslava. So here she will speak about her work. She's a graduate of Kosiv College of Applied and Decorative Art and Art Textile Department in Lviv, National Academy of Arts. She is a member of the National Union of Artists of Ukraine. Her personal motto is, "Art is an inseparable part of our lives, one that gives us freedom." And she incorporates different materials. She uses metal, shredded money from banks, linen, fiber, and different things together to create her textile work. And I am very happy to have Yaroslava join in today. And all of them are going to speak right now, first of what's happening right now for them because of the war.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'll try to speak English, but maybe Helena can help me sometimes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Lviv, and when war was started, we was in Lviv is a more safely part in Ukraine. That's why we stay a few sometime here, but then when invasion was more horrible and more
Dangerous.
Yeah, I come in Carpathian in Colombia to my grandmother because I have a small child, 3 years old children, and it's more safely here. So from all this time, about 2 months, war is триває, не знаю, як сказати. During this,
yeah, it's been this long.
Yeah, we go to come back home for some about 2 or 3 weeks. We stay at Lviv, but now we again come here in Carpathian because it's more dangerous. It's ракетні удари, я не знаю.
The missile strikes are in Lviv, and she's in the Carpathian Mountains.
No, but now,
Carpathian, yeah. Colombia.
Yeah. So,
can we show the map, Kelsey, so I could show where everybody is right now?
Sure.
So if you look at the map, and all the way on the left, you see the city Lviv, the red dot by Lviv, that's where Yaroslava's home is. And now she is with her grandmother, the Carpathians, and that is a little below the Ivano-Frankivsk. If you see where Ivano-Frankivsk is, that's where she's located. And then the next speaker will be from Ternopil, which is, that's Andriy. And Darina will be the closing speaker. She's from Kiev, and that's there. Okay, thank you. Well, this is a slide showing, I try to explain to people that Ukraine has different ornamentation all over the country. Every region has its own color patterns, own design. So in the left, the Western Ukraine is more geometric style. Then to the south and the center, you have more floral ornamentation. And this is very important. This is like a code of the folk costumes and embroidery and textiles. Next slide, please. So this is Yaroslava Weaving. Ярослава, можете говорити?
I create my artworks on not on loom, but on rama.
A frame?
A frame,
Mhm.
but on a frame. Often I made it on a frame, metal frame, and like this one.
Mhm.
This one was created on that. This artwork was created in that frame, metal frame, on balm wool, yeah, on cotton. Основа, не знаю, як буде
The
це
warp is cotton warp.
cotton warp and linen
Weft.
left. Yeah, the
Mhm.
hands made from metal. It's copper. I often use a metal in my artwork because I like this combination of structure, metal and fabric.
Mhm. And this piece is called hidden.
Hidden, yeah. So,
Приховане, like in,
yes.
maybe it's a different word in English, but that's what. And next, please. This is called To the Sun, do Sonsia.
Do Sonsia. This one also made in same way on metal frame in with cotton, linen, and silk, and it's I mean in this artwork is фігури,
The
не знаю,
figures, the shapes.
The shapes. Фігури, вони ніби як люди.
They're like people. They're like people.
Але сама форма їх, вона така схожа на рибу, можливо, знаєте, як і вони для мене, ну тобто вони як пливуть до сонця, до ну тобто це як наше прагнення до світла, до чогось кращого, до от якось так.
It's like our being drawn to the sun, to something better, to something, a brighter future. And it's the figures of people, of humans, but in the bodies of fish, of the form of a fish. Pravino? Next, please.
Let me interrupt briefly to say you're getting lots of appreciation for your work. The works are amazing. They love the combination of textile and copper. The second piece, someone says, this piece brings tears to my eyes.
It was a series of серія робіт.
It was a series of work. She does
series of work. Okay. Named The Birds. It was created for exhibition in Michigan, art prize in Michigan, something like that. Art show in Michigan in 16 році.
In 2016.
16, yeah. And I created by myself also using metal and linen pieces, and it's was three pieces in form like a bird. And you know, Helena, you must help me. Про вони створені як павук. Це традиційний.
So there's a tradition in Ukraine of making out of straw these beautiful little, they're called spiders, but they don't look like spiders. It's more like these multi-dimensional hanging mobiles. And this is what she based her lamp, this lamp of a bird on. And they're made during Christmas time for good luck. Next, please.
This one is one of the last works that I create, and in that work I use, you know, I have the same piece. It's mask made from linen and linen fiber. Glue it on a form, and then I make embroidery and create such work. The title of the work is Пробудження, wake up.
Awakening.
Awakening. Okay.
Mhm. And that has metal. It has German nickel,
German silver.
German silver.
A lot of people ask me about color on metal. It is, it's not farba.
It's not paint.
It's not a paint. It's a reaction, oxidized. I reacted on metal, and they show me that he has a color, a different colors.
Next. This is showing the dimensions of it.
Mhm.
Next, please.
This one is a small work. Настроєві, як це?
It's like to bring out an emotion, like to.
Emotionally. For me, it's like winter morning when snow is freezing, and it's легкість буття.
The lightness of existence.
Yeah. So,
Next.
it's the same piece of that series with small birds and beautiful plant graphic. It's what I like.
I think that was in New York, right? This was in New York.
No.
Okay. Next.
This one.
These are two photos of the same. These are just different angles of it.
It's also from latest works I create, and it's the title of the work is Берегині. It's about
Protectors.
Protectors, yeah. It's about you know, every woman is have a great energy and creating energy, and the energy that she create a space around she, and she is a holder of this space. That's why Берегині is holder of our space.
And a holder of culture and tradition, holder of.
Yeah. Yes. And it's як буквально, так і в переносному значенні. Тобто жінка, вона і безпосередньо оберігає, та, вона піклується про свою родину, про своїх дітей, і так само це є ментально. Тобто вона є носієм традиції, носієм культури, так, яку вона передає далі і далі своїм дітям.
She's like the culture, the one that passes on culture. She takes care of the traditionally took care of the family, the children, but also of the culture, this Berehenia. So both in role of woman and also as this form of protector goddess.
Helena, I have a technical question or two here.
Yeah.
If I could interrupt. There are questions about the linen. One person asked if it's tow linen. Another wants to know if the linen is grown in Ukraine or where she gets it. There are people who like to weave and work with linen, obviously, in our audience. So there's interest in that.
Tow linen. We're learning these terms in English right now. So they might inform me and educate me about that. It's loose fiber. We're going to show a picture of what it looks like. Maybe they can identify it, this person who's asking.
Sure.
And Yaroslava does go to markets. She loves to go to markets and pick up various things that are being sold at the local markets from the people selling there. She has a whole collection of things. Так? Чи я правильно кажу?
Про матеріал?
Так, питається, чи то tow linen.
Що це значить?
TOW. Я не знаю, вони подивляться на знімку і можуть допомогти нам.
It's actually the leftover bits when linen fibers are hackled to make line linen, which is the long fine fibers. So perhaps when you show the materials, she can explain it.
Питання про тип. У нас довгунець і ще інший. То от пряли саме з довгунця, і вони запитують, з якого, я так зрозуміла, якого типу цей льон використовується. Чи той, що для прядіння, чи іншого типу?
Той, що для прядіння, так. Тобто він не пряданий, такий, ну, така пакля.
Yeah, the one for spinning.
For spinning, yes, but I use different
Ні, справа в тім, що я перепрошую, є льон для прядіння і є льон типу для олії і для харчування. Тобто є два різні різновиди льону.
Ну, для прядіння.
For spinning. Next, please. This is what it looks like.
And I made a mat, you know, with this linen, and then glue it, you know.
Okay, то кажуть нам, що то називається tow linen по-українському.
Tow. Okay, запишу.
То TOW. Добре. Thank you very much for helping us. Next, please. Одне питання було, де вирощуються, де ви купуєте?
Я купую в господарському магазині. Він продається для сантехніки.
They sell it in stores in Ukraine. They do. You could get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Such as a series of work named Herbarium. It's like Herbarium, like a collection of memories. You know, like we collect
Herbs.
Herbs. We collect our memories and we collect our history. And all this project is about history, about you know, in this photo I have two artwork. In first with hands, it was a hands of my grandmother, my mother, and my hand. And like покоління,
Generations.
generations, and connecting with generation, because we are not born in якийсь, зараз я записувала. You know, we're not born in a sterile world. You know, we born in mental space of our grandmothers, of our parents, and we must accept it. We must know about it, and we must interesting our own history, history of our family, because it's really depend on our future. That's you know, I think what we have in Ukraine now, it's because the зв'язок поколінь перерваний.
The connection between the generations has been broken.
Generation
The
was
link.
Yeah, connection with generation was broken because of Soviet Union, because such things, and a lot of people doesn't know about Holodomor in Ukraine, about what Russian do in Ukraine 80 років тому.
80 years ago, what
80
happened?
80 years ago. My grandmother also have a history with Russian invasion. His family was як це вивезено?
They were shipped out to
shipped
Siberia.
out to Siberia because
Sent to Siberia.
yeah, not because there was there was just a як це, господарі на своїй землі вони не були злочинці чи якісь, так, тобто їх вивезли, тому що вони мали маєтки і мали статки.
Because they were landowners. They had
Yeah.
land and they wanted to continue working their land and being sustainable. Next.
So, okay. It's from
Kelsey.
this series also in the it's in this first photo, it's my як це, my mother, my brother child, my brother's son. Як це?
Yeah, your nephew,
My nephew, yeah. And he одягнув мої прикраси. Я маю традиційний стрій від моєї прабабусі. І також я маю багато прикрас традиційних, які носили там моя прабабця, бабця, так? І часом на такі родинні свята ми одягаємо, ну, я одягаю цей стрій і одягаю це. І коли він був малим, він захотів поміряти, як воно йому пасує. І вийшла така гарна фото.
So Yaroslava says she has a traditional Ukrainian costume from her prababtya, great-grandmother, from her great-grandmother. And it has, there's always beads, beautiful necklaces, and that Yaroslava wears this for holidays. And he was there and he wanted to just try what it looks like on him. So this is a photo of him wearing it.
So, and for me, it's also about family history, about our country history. In small things, we have a large thing, you know. Everyone is a small pieces of big one, you know. That's why it's so.
Yeah,
Slava, could I ask a question? If someone wants to know if the pieces with photographs are also woven on a frame, or are they painted or collaged on the linen?
It's collaged on the linen.
Thank you.
Collaged on the linen with herbs, with painting, with embroidery. It's different techniques used in this series.
So mixed media.
Mixed
Yeah.
media, yeah. I also have a not finished artwork. You know, you can see.
Oh, lovely.
Here I have a piece of paper also, and plant.
Yes. The people watching say your work is very moving. Poignant, breathtaking are some of the words they use. And they also like your philosophy of everyone being small pieces, but part of a whole. Yes, someone also mentioned we can't see your new work, but when we get back to the full screen later, you could show it again.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we are with Andriy. And Andriy, I know I have a lot of respect for Andriy also, because in Ukraine you can count on your fingers how many actually make the looms and the tools that we need for weaving. And he is one of the few. He lives in Ternopil, that's in Western Ukraine. He teaches woodworking skills to grades 1 to 11 in school. And then after we're teaching the children, he creates weaving equipment for in his after the teaching. Now he's just he's teaching, but he's also volunteering. He's not able to make things in his shop at the moment. He was first introduced to tapestry weaving as a child and didn't really stick with him. But then he had requests for different weaving equipment, and he became interested and wanted to learn how these tools work. He has a Facebook group. You can find him on Equipment для ткацтва, equipment for weaving. And he's sewing things for the army, like sheets and different bandages to stop blood. That's his current, what he's doing right now. Andriy. We have Andriy. Andriy?
Так, я вже є. Привіт.
So maybe
Yep.
Andriy can say how the war has affected him, як війна зараз. Скоренько розповість нам, що ви робите.
Так, ну спочатку ми дуже надіялися, що війни не буде, але ми готувалися, що війна станеться. І закупляли речі, ліки, харчі. І перше, що стало, це була тривога, сирена. І ми проснулись ранком і включили телевізор, і побачили, що в різні частини України почалися обстріли.
Okay, so first he was hoping there would be no war. And then they saw this was probably that there wouldn't be a full-scale invasion. Then he saw that this was happening, and they were buying things, medicine, things that they felt would be needed. And the sirens started, and they saw on TV. This was like in a matter of time, days, weeks, and sirens, and they saw on TV what was happening. І далі, прошу.
Тепер, мабуть, трошки про волонтерство.
Добре. And now he's volunteering to do what he can for defenders, for the defense.
Багато моїх знайомих зголосилися до тероборони. І ми трошки спочатку було складно, як себе поводити, що далі буде. Але коли війна, ніби так, почалися обстріли, і ми розуміли, що на Західну Україну сильно не будуть обстрілювати, то ми почали волонтерити, збирати речі, харчі, передавати туди, в Київ, Чернігів, де були сильні обстріли і де була облога міст.
So a lot of Andrii's friends joined it's called Terobrona, that means civilians who are defending Ukraine. And they decided that Western Ukraine was a good place to stay where he is. And they started volunteering and gathering things to pass on to Kyiv and Chernihiv to get to the people that are defending Ukraine.
Грузили харчі, речі передавали. Також у нас тероборона, військові патрулювали міста і постійно 6 годин ходили. І ми з своїми знайомими з молодіжних організацій почали виготовляти устілки для взуття, почали залучили дітей, щоб вони допомагали, бо діти не почали не ходити до школи, бо школи закрили. І діти теж хотіли долучитися до якоїсь волонтерства, і ми їм запропонували шити устілки, і їм в цьому допомагали.
So they also collect food and bring that to where it's needed in Kyiv and other cities. What was going on was the Terobrona, these civilian protectors, were on their feet for 6 hours at a time, watching over the cities and the villages. And so they found that it would be needed to make liners for the boots for their feet, and kids weren't in school at the time, so kids were able to help and volunteer and wanted to help volunteer for that. So that was one of the projects that they did. І можна показати. Так?
Що?
Щось додати, чи вже?
Зараз ми, крім плетіння сіток, зараз почали приїжджати в місто поранені з фронту, і ми почали шити білизну для поранених. Також почали шити косинки для перев'язок ран. І це спочатку було складно, через те, що такі домашні машинки, але за допомогою вашої допомоги ми тепер маємо можливість і багато більше шити цієї білизни, і передавати в госпіталі, і передавати в лікарні і в тим, що зараз на фронті лікарям.
So they're still making camouflage nets for the defense, and a lot of wounded are coming to Ternopil right now from the front. And so he's doing a special project where they're sewing linens for the wounded, and also bandages, special bandages, and to stop the bleeding. And I helped send money to get a newer a sewing machine. So Andriy says they're able to sew faster now. Can we show the pictures, the next?
Тепер я буду по виробах.
These are some of the things he makes.
З ткацтвом я познайомився випадково. Можливо, ми в школі ткали на ткацьких рамках, потім я не ткав, але мене зацікавило, коли я побачив в Фейсбуці, що хтось ткав. Зацікавився і почав шукати речі, на чому можна виткати. Але дуже було складно, і я почав виготовляти сам речі, вироби для ткацтва.
So he's saying as a child, he tried weaving, but he wasn't that interested at that time. And then he started seeing on Facebook, social media, modern social media is helping Ukrainian weaving, actually. And he was able to see weaving and get to see how it's done. But he couldn't find the equipment to weave on. So he decided to try making it. And that's how his journey started with that. Next, please.
Коли я познайомився з різними видами ткацтва, я долучився до соцмереж з великої групи по ткацтву в Україні. і почали мене запитувати, чи міг би я виготовити для них. От я і з того часу я почав виготовляти речі для ткацтва, станки, берда, різні приспособи. Потім попросили мене створити групу, щоб простіше було виставляти вироби для ткацтва. І я так створив свою групу в Фейсбуці, почав там виставляти свої вироби, щоб люди могли придбати собі і теж долучитися до ткацтва.
So through others started seeing his work and also were requesting, hey, Andriy make things for them. And they also pushed him to create a Facebook group, Equipment for Weavers, for Equipment для ткацтва, correct? We have the link to that. And so his journey continued with making this equipment. Next, please. These are heddles. This is a table, rigid heddle room.
Так, тут верстати, які я виготовляв. Оцей правий верстат, це жінка замовила на 2 берда, а потім ще дозамовила 2, тобто це на 4 берда, і вона ще такі килими і інколи шарфи.
So this loom he has, it's a rigid heddle, but it's also, it's made for 2 heddles, and he also makes it for 4 heddles. And the woman that ordered it makes these runners for the floor and also scarves. Next, please. These are some of the tools he uses.
Так, тут я фотографії з майстерні, де я виготовляю різні вироби. В даний момент це є глиці для ткацтва, для ручного ткацтва.
And these are the shuttles used for weaving, the ones that you wrap the threads around that he's making. Next.
Та це виріб такий називається вид ткацтва на качалці. І це така качалочка, на якій можна ткати. Це зроблено на токарному верстаті.
So this is these are traditional tools used to weave belts, like the kraikas, and they're called kachalka, which is in English is to translate exactly as a rolling pin. So they're like, they help lift up the different threads that are needed while you're weaving. They're used almost like heddles. Next. Питається, яке дерево ви найбільше вам подобається живати?
Мабуть, бук. Ну, дерево бук, а даний виріб зроблений з граба.
Andrei, what type of wood do you use?
Yeah, I'm just translating book, the exact.
Це назва дерева. Не знаю, як перекладається.
The word. I'm trying to picture what it is.
Ну, теж люблю склена.
Beech and maple he likes the most. Sorry. Thank you. Next.
Глить.
Glitch.
Так, це є основальна рама для великого верстату. Просили зробити. Це зроблено з ясена.
Yasena. So this is another a warping board he was commissioned to make. Next.
Так,
These are some of the things.
З правої сторони це є маленький верстат Inkel Loom, на якому я тчу на дощечках з пластикових, картикових дощечках. Вчуся ткати на цім. А глиці, якщо попередньо до дерева, глиці і мечики, то роблю з груші. Вона така червона, і коли воском покрита, вона така гарна червона, має структуру. З правої сторони це фотографія, фотографія верстата, на якому чуть шарф. Це ніби так прислала жінка, яка в мене замовила верстат і хотіла показати, які вона виробить ще на моєму, тому верстаті, який я їй зробив.
So here's a photo on the left of one of his customers' work. What she made is she's making a scarf, and on the right is his inkle loom and card weaving that he's doing, tablet weaving. Next, please. And he made it out of pear. The little inkle loom is made out of pear. Here's a
Так.
runner.
Це великий верстат, настільний, на 2 берда. І ця жінка це теж виріб, це, що придбала верстат, і вона такі коврики.
So this is another customer that weaves on his larger rigid heddle loom. Next, please. This is more work of another.
Так, це теж фото шарфа, чуть на верстаті, який я виготовив.
That's another customer's work. Next, please.
Так, тут є 2 маленьких верстата Inkle Loom. Я спеціально їх виготовив для майстер-класу в Києві, де запросила Дарина, буде наступна виступати. І я там проводив майстер-клас ручного ткацтва на Inkle Loom, на цьому верстаті.
So he made these 2 inkle looms. They're smaller for a class a workshop he was holding in Kiev that Darina invited him to. Darina is the next speaker. Next, please.
Так, тут з правої сторони Inkle Loom, де я чую такі вироби. Там в кінці біля шафи є маленькі наскладені рами, замовили, тобто такі набиті цвяшки, де натягувалися нитки і на ньому робилися маленькі гобелени. А з лівої сторони фотографія, де я чую вузьку крайку, і на берді, на глиці і тримачем для крайки.
So on the right, he has a small inkle loom, and there's frames in the back you see for tapestry weaving. And the left photo is a backstrap loom that he also makes all the tools for. Next, please.
Так, тут я проводжу майстер-клас для учнів школи борщівської вишивки. І з правої сторони це є зразок борщівської вишивки того регіону Тернопільської області, борщів. І я проводжу для учениць цієї школи майстер-клас ткацтва на берді.
This is a school in his region. It's called the Borshtchiv region, and this is known for beautiful embroidery, dark black, a lot of black colors. And there's a legend behind it. Why the colors are so dark? It's because there was an invasion also, and all the men were killed, all the boys, all the males were killed, and the women said, "We're gonna just wear colors of grieving for 7 generations." And that is the legend why their embroidery is so heavy in dark and black colors. And here he's teaching in the school of Borshtchiv. There's a school for embroidery there, and he's teaching the students how to weave kraike, the sashes, the woven belts, so they could wear with their shirts. Next, please.
Так, цей майстер-клас був поділений на декілька днів. Тобто я вчив різні види ручного ткацтва, і оце один з тих уроків.
These are some of the, it took a few days to do this workshop in this school. Next, please. And this is photos of volunteer work now.
Так, тут ми волонтеримо, вирізаємо устілки. У нас в домівці, в молодіжній організації.
They're making the liners for the boots for the defense. Next, please. These are more
That's-
volunteers.
Це ми організували дітей, які теж допомагають нам у вільний час волонтерити.
They weren't felt. They were з чого то зроблені ті? Що виживали?
Це є для утеплення такий поліестер, спінена плівка, і зшивається з різними видами тканини, тобто з товстими якимись. Це умовно ми різали одяг, який не потрібний, і вирізали форми підошви устілки, зшивали з тою плівкою. Тобто вона не давала волозі йти на ногу, і було тепло для взуття.
So it's like an insulation piece. It has like silver on one side, and then they put that between fabric, and it helps the feet from getting wet, and it helps keep them warm also, because it was in the colder months. Next, please. And this is not just for Ukrainian Army. This is also for Ukrainian, the civilians who are defending. Actually, I think more of his volunteer work is going for that, to help them, because they basically don't have a lot.
There are a couple of questions before we move on. Someone wanted to know if the belts that he showed are the protective type of belt mentioned earlier, and how do you spell the city where they're woven?
То це є крайки, що ви, yeah, those are крайки. And the city where they're woven is Ternopil, where he was making the class. The class was in Ternopil, and also he did a workshop in Kyiv, KYIV.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to introduce Darina Alieksieienko. I've followed Darina for many, many years. I have so much to thank her for teaching me a lot about Ukrainian backstrap weaving. Because of her, I am able to teach others, and I teach in the Ukrainian Museum here in New York City. Darina does a lot of work on, she has a YouTube channel, and she's a respected weaver and folk culture activist. And she has done much to share her knowledge to popularize Ukrainian weaving. What she said in one of our practice sessions the other day was, it's better to pass on a flame than ashes. And she is one of the organizers of a documentary film called Tkatskyi Shliakh. We're going to have the link attached, and I recommend everyone watch this movie. It has English subtitles. It's called Weaving Journey in English, and it shows weaving throughout all different regions in Ukraine. And for her, Ukrainian weaving is her cultural front. She protects patterns from cultural appropriation by Russia, and to share weaving while with the people. So Darina, and I'm very honored to have Darina here join us today. Darina, proszę.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you, Helena. Could you hear me?
Yes.
And what about cameras?
Camera, where's the camera? So Darina,
It's okay, yeah.
Can we have Darina on screen, please? Full screen.
When she's speaking, she's on full screen.
Oh, okay, good. So Darina,
Okay, it's so great honor.
Розкажіть про the impact of the war.
It's really so great honor to told about Ukrainian culture for people from different parts of the world. Thank you for everyone. About war, the war started 8 years ago, and war for me, it started since 14 years. And my weaving job is like a cultural front. What could I do in this war, and in which way I could help to win? When war became full, Ukrainian in this year, we were with my family in Zhytomyr region. It's a small village, and in this project, I last 1.5 years. I am a teacher in this project, and I will talk about that maybe later. We in village we start preparing cocktail Molotova. It's because we have no armament, and we have do something to fight with Russian.
So they prepared Molotov cocktails.
What happened? Hello.
I think we were getting feedback from someone who was unmuted, but I think it's fixed now.
Yeah, and when nuclear station was bombed with the Russian, we with my 2 children left Ukraine, and now we are in Kharkiv, and I hope that in a short time we will back. Let's talk about weaving. Yeah.
Next photo.
Weaving for me, it starts from hobbies. I make belts, and what I saw that Russian people who made these belts, this type of belts, it's not usual in Ukraine. It's a pattern in not wide in Russia. It's pattern wide in Ukraine. When I saw people from Russia, they make it's our pattern, our belt. I saw, stop, it's not yours, it's our culture. And that I decided to share this knowledge because I am education person, and it's I start some research about this field because it's not many information about that. So I may connect with museum and make some patterns. And next, please. It's one type of weaving and not so wide. It's another type also weaving, and it's also traditional pattern of Ukraine. It's Western Ukraine, and the main goals in my job, I saw the first is make Ukrainian traditional pattern and save and share that. Also show each person, not professional weavers, that weaving could be like hobby, like embroidery, because in Ukrainian embroidery is very wide,
widespread.
Yeah, and I show that it could can be made with easy tools, like, next please, like a handle, and it's also in it's handmade handle, and we have in the north part of Ukraine this a tool for making belts. And the third point is I want that people knows own history, own traditional, and became appreciate hand weaving. What is the difficult job, and they not ask why so expensive if it's like a job professional. It's like work of Yaroslav. It's amazing job, and it or another masters. So it's the third point. So I make a course of Tkatstvo, and at the start, it was 8 years ago. At the start, I study people from different parts of Ukraine, and now it have center in Zaporizhia, in Lviv, in Ternopil, and people study everyone who want to make belts. Next, please. Next, please.
Okay.
In 2070s, I make all Ukrainian project. It was a map of Ukraine where each region was represented by a piece of weaving typical of this region, and the border for map is, if you could see, it's right red line. It was the war. Yeah, it was the war with, if you know, Russia get the south part of Ukraine and get crime in the down. Yeah, it's part of Ukraine, and they get occupied that, and we make with people. It's near 70 person make border, like masterclass, and near 15 masters from different parts of Ukraine made this from this map. And also in when I visited different parts of Ukraine, we record the movie and make documentary film. Yeah, let's see some. Next, please.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to switch over to the trailer. And would you like to talk about it first before we screen the trailer?
No, if you could switch on and a little bit sound and
Okay.
Свої милі гори, зелені Карпаті, дуже весело тут жити, весело й вмирати. Я посію колопеньке, то зійде леночок, кобих така до роботи, як до співаночок. До роботи німа охоті, до танцю готова. Від роботи боронємні, матінко Христова.
Якщо хороший ліжник, десь 6 годин його мусить там збиває. А якщо легонький ліжник, за 2 години його зб'є.
Для Решетилівки характерні килими рослинного орнаменту. І ми вже занесені до Національного реєстру матеріальної спадщини культури України.
Були одинакові ті за розміром коцмик. Потім розрізайся і виходять такі рівномірні коцмики.
Кроновецьке переборне ткацтво, воно існує вже не одне століття. Перша техніка – це підпарки, орнамент на ту і на ту сторону.
І прокидаю
Це закріпляю полотном.
Настільки вона ця робота забарна, то недаром кажуть, що ткача не буде багача, а швачки не буде багачки.
Часто жінки тримали свою шлюбну крайку для того, щоб ніби душа по цій крайці перейшла чи в рай, чи в пекло за народними віруваннями.
В сучасному світі, коли йде така потужна вже глобалізація, для багатьох українців свідомо і таке питання, як просто відвоювати своє місце на карті світу. Окреслити ми його можемо хіба що кордонами нашої традиційної культури.
Ця робота не така, яка-небудь. 360 хрестиків має та суч, і на кожний хрестик треба перекинути 6 разів. 6 разів по 360. Щоб було океан квітів. Океан квітів.
It's just trailer, but full movie has English subtitles, so we invited you to saw every full movie because it's very colored and interesting about Ukraine. We are really have what proud of us. And the last 2 years, I say that I was in project in Zhytomyr region. I am at school. I am a teacher of math, and I try to connect study mathematics with weaving because it's like logical, pattern has geometric properties, and on a lesson we it's like also after school.
We have a photo of that.
Time for spent.
Kelsey, we have a photo of that.
It's also movie, so I think it will explain and we will see. And it's the main, it could be no sound. We could, it's movie, but without sound, I will comment it.
Okay.
And the children spend time here and they experimental with color, with connection color. It's this fixed problem, and the minor they help each other. They not have strict task, but they have understand what they have to do, what they can to do, and analysis, and make job about weaving. It's like full process for preparing threads or just weaving, and so that I think that is the main what I want to tell you, and I think maybe you are tired, so thank you so much.
There's also kraike. These are kraike.
It's job of my students. It was a project new kraike, because it was a little pieces of old bands, and I make a pattern of that and gave the threads, and my students make new belts, and I want make a part old belts and new one, and but it's alive, so some stuff I lost. Next, please.
What do you mean you lost? Що сталося?
I change sometimes, and when we left the Zhytomyr region, our stuff was get out. викинули, так.
They threw it
And
out.
now I, when I have a free time, because I also have a lesson online, but in free time I made arm net, because it's also like weaving, and I help in this center, because for a person who never weave, they so difficult made this web, but it's really easy, and I sometimes I help explain how to do that and make it very fast. Yeah.
So these are the camouflage nets that a lot of weavers in Ukraine are now volunteering to make. This, and oftentimes they're on the floor and they're doing them on their knees, bent over all day.
Yeah, the основа is, as a rule, is fish net, and then we weave the, because our government not make that in time.
Well, also it was bombed in Kharkiv where they were making them, but they are not, they can't be made, they have to be made out of natural fibers, because otherwise if there's any fire, it burns onto the skin. So this is what they're making. Yes, women also wear kraika. Everyone wears kraika.
Yeah, and it's Slava Ukraini, be brave like Ukraine.
Next. These are what weavers in Ukraine are doing right now. They're making, putting words into their weaving. This is me in it, around where I am right now. This is weaving a kraika also. Next, please. And I wanted to bring the story of my grandfather, Mikhailo Boychuk. My mother, who's 85 now, my whole life, I heard of these stories of them, of my mother being a refugee, my grandmother surviving famine. And this was my grandfather, who was an enemy of the people, considered an enemy of a people because he was an artist and well-known. And there's a school in Kiev named Mikhailo Boychuk after him. So my mother never knew him. Next, please. So it's generational trauma. And this is something that I made in honor of Darina also, because she would always say, "Все буде Україна, все буде ткацтво." And I can't talk anymore. But it's there will always be Ukraine, and there will always be weaving. And I thank everybody for coming today. May these threads join us and realize that people are suffering right now. And Darina is a refugee right now. It's hard, but she has dreams and she has hope, and we all have hope, just like the chicks that hatched in my incubator in the corner that you might hear peeping. That let's help each other right now. Sometimes it's not even such a large amount, or just to bring attention to Ukrainian weaving, to help us get resources online, because all the books are out of print. Anything like this to help preserve this folk art makes a big deal. So thank you so much to everyone. And this is a pattern on ratkes.net that I put the letters out, and Jeff Biggett helped me to create there.
And what does it say?
It says Slava Ukraini. It means Slava Ukraini is glory to Ukraine. It just shows the letter, and Все буде ткацтво, there will always be weaving, and different design elements that you could add to your belt.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
But so when I heard about that, Yaroslava's exhibit, being part of an exhibit, we organized a trip to New York City, and weavers from New York, Hand Weavers Guild and other groups came together to go to the exhibit. We even brought Yaroslava up on my phone, FaceTime, so she could talk about them. And then we walked to the Russian consulate and did a weaving in public event there, a protest, and showing what weavers are doing in Ukraine now with these camouflage nets, but weaving blue and yellow throughout them. And there's another picture alongside to get an idea of size of what the weavers are doing. This was at the exhibit where we went for to see Yaroslava's work and other Ukrainian weavers. Next. And this is our contacts. I am very reachable. If people have any questions, if there's something we didn't address, please reach out. We will very happily try to help, and you helped us with the information too.
And before I take down this slide, we'll take this down and have a little bit of time for question and answer. But I just want to again, thank you all for your donations. WARP will be making a donation to Razom next week from all of the money that you contributed with your registrations. Helena has also said that she can take money through PayPal to give directly to the weavers who spoke today. And also, Darina has a couple of projects that she is working on. One is funding to continue teaching weaving to children in schools, and the other is resources for teaching weaving to people with special needs. And her PayPal is at the bottom here. And we will early next week send a follow-up email and include all of this contact information, as well as all of the links that we shared today and the links to the videos.
I have something to add for the end, before the music, Kelsey.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna end this, I don't know who's gonna have the last word, but before I get cut off. So the last, I asked for a song to be played. My children, I started a folk band with my family called Korinya, which means roots. And this whole talk, I wanted to show about the importance to pass on your traditions. And the song that they're going to sing for you is a song that my grandmother, their great grandmother, taught my mother, and then she taught them. And it's about a rose in the water and the parents being worried. The mother and father come out and see the rose in the water and they're worried. And we're worried, but we're hopeful, and we want everybody to keep these kraikas, get the protection. And every one of these weavers is involved in some way in volunteer work. They're doing good things. And I thank everybody for bringing them to the world today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Helena. And we'll play the song at the very end. I think next Judy will facilitate some questions and answers, and then we'll conclude with the song.
Well, thank you all for what's been a very moving presentation. I would have a hard time summarizing what all the comments, except to say that we're very thrilled that you shared this artwork with us today. One of the questions that has stuck with me is, what can we do to help? And let me do that in two parts, and perhaps you could ask each of the speakers to share with us. One would be, where could we purchase tools or artwork that we've seen that they're making today? Is there a place? Second is, what could we do to support weavers and traditional folk artists in general in Ukraine at this time? And third, you've mentioned presentations for guilds. It seems like that might be, we'd be interested to know who would be available to make presentations after this meeting is over.
To перше питання є, де можна купити ваші твори і equipment? То Ярослава перша може? Well, you could contact them. You can contact them right now. We are trying to find out where the works are right now, what's happening with the exhibit, because it didn't end officially. So we're trying to find that out, but otherwise you can contact each one of them. Or you can use me for Andriy to help with the English too.
Thank you. That's great. Someone has asked if a recording will be made available. Absolutely. It will be available on our website. You can link from there, and also everyone attending will receive a link to it as well.
And with the guilds, if anybody has requests, just contact me. I don't know if you want individual, each speaker. I don't know what you're interested in exactly, but you can always use me as a contact.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One last question. Do we need to send yarn to Ukraine?
Чи треба нитки? Not right now, not right now. But you can send medical supplies.
Yeah.
To save lives. We're still trying to save lives.
That's very good and very timely. Can you, in the follow-up email that we all get, would you send Kelsey information of where we could send medical supplies? And she could put it in the email?
Sure.
That would be great. Thank you.
And I also would like to add that Helena made the suggestion of our donation going to Rezom. And one of the reasons for that is because they are sending most essential aid right now, such as medical supplies. So they're focusing on life-saving relief. And they also are completely volunteer-based. So none of the money that's donated to the organization goes to salaries. It all goes directly to aid. So I want to reiterate that as well. And also I would like to say, I'll send it next week too, but I just put the contact information for all of the speakers today into the chat. So if there's someone you want to contact right away and you don't want to wait, the information is there now.
Thank you so much.
I think it's time to wrap it up. We'll have plenty of other opportunities to communicate. And I want to thank all of you for attending today. And I'm anxious to hear the song, the music.
All right. Thank you to everyone. And I'll go ahead and screen share and play the song, and we'll conclude after that.
вийшли з хати.